you're a buyer looking to buy a home in the super hot real estate market, you may be wondering what it's going to take to get you into that dream home. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you the steps you need to know to compete in this market, and we're getting after it right now. What's up, everybody? I'm Ladina Strand. I'm a local real estate agent here in beautiful Kitsap County, Washington. Now, if this is your first time to my channel and you want to know everything about Kitsap County, well, I do tons and tons of videos, everything you need to know. So make sure you tap that subscribe button and you click that little bell so you're notified every time I do a new video. Now, I get lots and lots of phone calls, emails, text every single day of people looking to relocate here, and I absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about moving, relocating, make sure you reach out to me. You can give me a call, you can shoot me a text, you can send me an email, or you can even send the Seahawk. However you want to get a hold of me, I definitely have your back when moving to Western Washington. Look, you probably saw my last video talking about what to expect in the 2021 market. And it's going to be probably just as crazy as it was in 2020. So what should you expect and what should you know about buying a home in the next year? That's what this video is for. We're going to go through, really the tips and the things to expect while you're trying to find a home in Western Washington. Now, I did read some of the comments in the last video, and I was seeing some comments where people were getting demoralized about buying in this market, and they're also writing comments about writing offers $30,000 plus over list price, and we're missing out on their 10th home. So I really want to help you kind of navigate this market a little bit. So the number one thing I'm going to tell you to expect is expect multiple offers, right? Now, the majority of homes listed will have showing after showing. It's almost like assembly line showings. There are so many people looking, we'll see multiple offers on that property. I showed a house last week all the way out in the Shelton area, 30 miles out of town. There were 13 offers, and my buyer offered $34,000 over list price and still got beat out. So I'm going to give you some tips later on in this video on how to really negotiate and navigate multiple offers to help put you in a better position. Now, that's later on in the video, but really do expect multiple offers in this market. So tip number one, this is a very, very important tip, and it's going to help you. So please, please listen to what I'm telling you here. Use a local lender before coming to Western Washington. Before you're going to write an offer on a property, make sure you have a pre-approval from a good local lender. You understand the numbers, you understand how much money you're putting down on all levels. I know I've preached this, but you must use a local lender. It's almost imperative. Local lenders do things better than some big box banks and credit unions. Now, if you want to use a credit union, that's fine. If you want to use the online lender, that's fine. But it's going to make more sense when we talk about multiple offers, in using a local lender. So we're going to get to that. All right, so the next thing to expect in this list, expect to lose out on quite a few homes. Now, I hate to say that, but I've had clients that were, we've written offers up to, $45,000 plus over list price and not gotten the home. So expect that you will lose out on a couple of homes. It's kind of tough. You're falling in love, you don't get it. You're, falling in love, you don't get it. And it's really hard on the mental state of a lot of buyers, but just go into it knowing you're going to lose some battles. And I think that's going to help you out throughout this process, because if you get your heart set on one home that you absolutely love, you get the warm and fuzzies, you write that great offer, and then you don't get it, well, you kind of have to go back out there and do it again if you're trying to find a home. So as unfortunate as that is, it's going to happen. Hey, if these videos are helping you with your move out here, can you please smash that like button? It really helps my videos out, and don't forget to subscribe. Now, the third thing to expect in this is expect to overpay on a home right now. Now, I wish we were in a different market where we weren't having to write $20,000, $30,000, or even $40,000 over list price, but that is the market that we're in. And this is also another really good point, going back to using a local lender to help set you up for future success. If you're going to write $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over list price, you're going to run into some issues on the back end, especially if you win that offer. So we'll get to those tips on the lending. The next thing to expect to see the list price not reflect the closed price, which means that if you're looking online on Zillow or Trulia or wherever you're looking at my website and you're seeing a home listed for $350,000, that home is not closing for $350,000 the majority of the time. It's closing well over that. So expect it to pay more than the listed price to actually win a home. Now, that's not all the time, it's not every property, but just know if a home has been on the market 30 days, it has no offers on it, there might be some reasons why. So this is where I give you a tip on multiple offers. Now, there are several things that buyers are doing to win in these multiple offer situations. They are having a pre-inspection done so that they can waive the inspection contingency when putting in the offer, or offering a pass/fail inspection Some buyers are going as far as waiving their appraisal contingency, and that's called an appraisal waiver, and there's two types of appraisal waivers. And one is your lender saying you won't need an appraisal based on the amount of money you're putting down. So they're going to waive the appraisal. The other is the buyer, which is you telling the seller, I will pay no matter what the appraisal comes back if you're using financing. So that means that if a home is listed at $350, you put an offer in at $380, you're saying that that home does not appraise for $380, you, the buyer, will make up the difference. So let's say it appraises for $350. You're in a contract at $380. Expect to pay an additional $30,000 out of pocket in order to win that home. Now, in a normal market, if it didn't make appraisal, you could come back and negotiate with the seller. But in this market, the offers that are winning are the offers that are waiving inspection contingencies or an appraisal waiver or an additional down payment. So if you're putting 5 or 10% down, this is where things get tough. Now, I have tips for you putting 5 or 10% down, that can't make up that huge appraisal difference. I do have tips for you further in this video, so stay tuned for that. Here's the next thing to expect. Expect that home potentially not to appraise. If you already offer $20,000 to $30,000 over list price, now generally when I help a client write an offer, I kind of look at where the trends are for that neighborhood to really see where we are. That way, if we write an offer 30 grand over and the trend is 30 grand over, there's less likelihood of having appraisal issues. Now, that's not always 100%. It will kind of help you in the scenario if your appraiser can look and see that homes are on trend for 30 grand over and you're putting 30 grand over, it might, help you be a little more lenient in writing that. But, I have seen some homes, not make appraisal $5,000 to $10,000. If you're writing, that waiver, do expect to potentially pay some money out of pocket. Here's a tip for using a local lender, is local lenders use better appraiser pools. Appraiser pools they're using consistently. So you might get a little bit more flexibility on your appraisal from an appraiser, but that's not always 100%. But I will recommend that local lenders will have a better shot of making that appraisal. And that's my experience, right? That might not be 100%. That might not be what happens with the realtor you use and the lender they recommend. But it is really important that you have a good relationship and your agent has a good relationship with that lender because it's going to make things easier for you down the line. So that's kind of another tip there. With prices skyrocketing in Western Washington, expect not to be in the neighborhood that you were thinking you would be in. Now, this is kind of a terrible thing to think, but a lot of people, if you're looking at, $350 or $500 range, those prices have escalated. And so what was $350 is now $400. So you're going to have to, move potentially further outside of the area that you were looking in order to find a home that fits that price. And every price point is affected, even in the million plus priced homes. And I want you to set that expectation now because that's where things are going. You might have to be further out. This is probably another good time to give you another tip on multiple offers. Typically, when you're writing an offer on a property, the listing agent will put in the MLS all offers to be delivered by this time, this date. So when they're asking for highest and best by 5 p.m. on Monday, they're asking you, for your highest and best. You get one shot, not 2 shots, not 3 shots, you get one shot, right? Offer on that home. So make it the best offer you can. Now, the next part really isn't a tip or an expectation. It's just kind of giving you an idea of what our market looks like. I pulled the numbers for 2020 to see where most sales were happening. And the reality is most sales happened in 2020 between 350 and 500,000 price range. And second was actually between 250 and 350. And third was between 5 and 7. So if you're looking really between, 350 and 5, expect you're going to see a lot of multiple offers. If you're going to be looking between 250 and 350, just know you're going to see a lot of multiple offers. All right, let's switch gears here real quick. I've been talking about, the resale market. Let's actually look at new construction because actually new construction can be just as frustrating as the resale market. Look, a lot of buyers get frustrated resale. They go to new build and find some other frustrations they weren't expecting. Here's what happens. A lot of builders are only releasing a few lots at a time. So they ask you to put you on a wait list. Sometimes to be on the wait list, you have to put a $1,000 deposit for a lot. And that happens quite a bit. So you're going to put $1,000 down. You're going to be, number 35 to 120 on a list, which is great. Now here's the problem. They're only releasing a few lots at a time. If some people fall off the list, that's great. You get bumped up the list. But there are other opportunities outside that neighborhood you might start missing out on because you're waiting for this new build to happen. After they sell a few, in a neighborhood, what do? They raise prices. So you're still on this list and you were in this list looking at this, this price here, and now the price has gone up. You've come down a little, price has gone up, you come down a little, price has gone up, you come down a little, prices, go up. you can kind of see, where I'm going with this. By the time you actually get, that home, the price is actually exceeding what you probably could have afforded on that neighborhood. And then you have to think about this. There are two types of builds, right? There are the to be built, which is the list you're on, and then there's inventory. Now on a to be built, you're picking, the lot, you're picking the home, you're picking the upgrades. You're actually taking that base price and you're escalating that base price. So being on a list and on a new build might not be where you actually want to be, especially if you're trying to find your first home. All right, now let's talk about your multiple offer. Now I did say that potentially you're going to be in a multiple offer situation. What should you be putting in an offer and what does that look like? Number one, your agent really should do a good job of being in contact with the listing agent, finding out what that seller wants, right? Is it just the highest net? Is it they want a quick close, or do they need a lease back? That's your agent's job, to go through and find out information that they can help put your offer ahead of potentially other offers. And that's what I do all the time with my clients. One thing that might help set you apart is actually closing quicker. So if your local lender can close in 30 days versus 45 days, that's going to separate you from the other parties. It might be the difference between you winning a house and not winning a house. Now here's another reason why I think it's really important to use a local lender, is that the listing agent will call your lender and they will see your affordability, how strong you are. They want to make sure that that lender can close on time and the confidence in your lender. If you're using a big bank lender, an online lender, and that agent is trying to get a hold of them and they can't, where do you think that's going to put your offer in the pile? Yeah, that's another reason why you really should use a local lender. Now, as I shared before, I've helped dozens of families move here. I have the process dialed in. I can help guide you to homeownership in this crazy market, and I can help you with your transition. But in order for me to do that, you gotta give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, however you wanna get a hold of me. I definitely have your back on moving to Western Washington. And until that next video, I'll catch you later.